Hey guys, it's Lance. We are here with Dr. Getty today. He works with runners from Olympic athletes to runners that just want to run a mile. How have you been doing today?
Doing pretty well. It's gotten a little hotter and humid in Virginia. I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, home of the University of Virginia. And, took the dogs out, had a half day with patients. So very happy to be inside in air conditioning and get to chat with you.
Yeah.
How are you doing? What's been your Friday like?
Just a little bit of relaxation. We have our teacher parade today, but I also have a mile time trial later, so.
Very cool. What's your PR right now?
For the mile?
Yeah.
5:40 something? 49.
All right. You got me by about 40 seconds. Lifetime PB. So good on you. Very good. Very good. What are you shooting for today?
Just sub-6.
Sub-6? Yeah. I think that's it's an interesting kind of, loss of a season is always really tough, and so it's good that you're out there finding that motivation and working your tail off.
I was having a really hard time getting out the door until I did this, so.
Yeah, and I think that's I think everybody has to take a little bit of time to find out why they run, how much they love to run, and just a reminder that at some point there will be another season, there will be another race.
Yeah.
Not competitive, if somebody, it was their last senior season race, or they'll be able to race and run again. So.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to throw a couple questions at you.
Bring them on.
All right, so what do you do specifically?
What I do specifically is I address the musculoskeletal system. So that is the bones, the tendons, the joints, the muscles, all of that. And I try to do it in a way that can identify the different causes of the dysfunction. So I'm a chiropractor. I do not adjust, or I very rarely adjust. I use a very heavy evaluation. So I will look at every part of somebody where I go, okay, let's look at how your big toe moves. Let's look at how your arch stabilizes. How do you push off? Is that ankle stable, or does it have too much range of motion? We're going to look at the knees. What happens there? Does it go in? Does it go out? Does it go too far forward? And then we're going to look at hip stability, deep trunk stability, and a lot of things like that. So basically, I dive in deep. I find the root cause of somebody's injury, and then with a combination of manual therapy and then also rehabilitative exercises, we can get people back to running or doing whatever they love to do as quickly as possible. So typically, and when you really get a proper evaluation, it doesn't have to be something that you're going to be sidelined for months and you have to be concerned about. It's not going to be 16 visits, 20 visits. My goal is typically to keep it somewhere between 3 to 5 visits, but it really relies on how long that problem has been there. So the faster I see something, the faster we can get it better and make somebody back to running.
So what are some of the most common injuries you see?
Common running injuries. We definitely see a fair amount of shin splints. That is a big problem we see, specifically during times of off season and then almost like running camp. So if somebody has not necessarily stuck to their running program over the summer, and then we go right into cross-country season, we will see a lot of overuse injuries like shin splints. Sometimes we'll see a little bit of plantar fasciitis, Achilles issues, and then also happens a lot more in cross-country season. We will see a few sprained ankles. That's very acute pain. Maybe somebody stepped on you, tripped over them, or just there was a little hole in the path that somebody went down on.
So how would you communicate with your coach well if you had an injury?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. That is extremely helpful because your coach, your athletic trainer, your parents, everybody that is in your support team wants to make sure you're able to run. That is always our goal. So there will be the normal aches and pains with running. It's uncomfortable to be a distance runner. That's why I don't do it. But there is the pain that is, this isn't normal. It's not getting better. I will typically say, if it's a new issue and it hangs around for 3 days, it's time to go get it evaluated. But if it's ever a sharp pain, if it's really a concerning pain, you need to communicate that with the coach or athletic trainer, because if you don't and you run through the pain, it's going to be a lot harder for us on the care side to fix you and get you back to running as quickly as possible. We don't want to sideline people. It's never fun to go, you can't run this week, because chances are it's going to be in the middle of the season, or it might be right before a really important conference race or title race, and we really can't have that. So full transparency about how you're feeling. There's going to be hip flexor tightness. There's going to be some glute stuff that people will feel, totally a normal part of running. But if there is pain that is persistent or doesn't feel like normal running pains, definitely a time to just talk to your athletic trainer, talk to your coach, make everybody aware of it so that they can make sure you get a proper evaluation and taken care of as quickly as possible.
So what are some of the easiest ways to prevent those injuries?
That's easiest ways to prevent that injuries is one, definitely listening to your coaches, because they are going to be, when we look at most of our injuries, a lot of them are coming from overuse. And a coach's programming should be the way it is. They're not going to load you up where they're going to go 10 miles one week, 30 miles the next week, 50 miles the week after that. Their programming is designed to slowly load the tendons and slowly load the body so that your body gets used to it and we don't have those overuse injuries. A big one as well, do not mess around with sleep. Sleep as much as you can. A big thing we're seeing right now is a lot of people saying, hashtag recovery, and then they pull out some sort of gadget that has all these wonderful claims. And sleep is the original recovery. If you're not getting the sleep, at least 6 hours, I'll have a forced rest day for people where I just say, hey, here are a bunch of studies that we look at, and once somebody's under those 6 hours of sleep, their injury rates actually go through the roof. So sleep is definitely it's an easy way. It's not a fancy way, but it is, when we study it, the most consistent way to really reduce a lot of injuries. And then also just running as your coach asks you to. At this point, a lot of, runners, we don't have to have the discussion about nutrition, which can be a really tricky subject. But at this point, runners are eating. High school aged runner, I think it's about 2,400 to 2,700 calories is what they should be taking in. And again, all of those are going to help.
So what is your favorite part about what you do?
Favorite part about what I do is helping people get back to what they love to do. It does not matter if it is winning conference titles. It does not matter if it is just being able to take a walk in the mountains with their kids, just being able to go upstairs. What I do is a lot of fun because we're able to take people who, they seek help when they're in pain and they can no longer do something. If doing backflips hurt somebody, but they never did backflips, they shouldn't come in and see me, because they come in and, hey, it hurts to do backflips. How often are you doing backflips? Never? Why are you here? A lot of people come in because they go, it hurts to run, and I love to run. It makes me happy. It helps de-stress from my day. Or, I'm going to go run with friends and family at a turkey trot or something. And it's like, oh, I want to get you back to where you can do what you want to do and love to do. And I think that is the most enriching part of my job, is just basically somebody going, hey, I couldn't do that. Now I can do it. Thanks. Thanks for teaching me how to fix myself. That's by far the best part of what I do. So, yeah, there's certainly chronic pain cases, which are always challenging to work with, and they're very rewarding as well. There's a lot of parts about what I do that is just so much fun. But definitely the number one thing has always been, I love what I do because I get to help people do what they want to do. I'm an enabler.
So, who do you work for / with?
Who do I work for / with? I run a little clinic in Charlottesville that focuses on sports medicine and just musculoskeletal care and fixing people. I'm very fortunate to work with a lot of D1 athletes. And then I'm also very fortunate to work with the Reebok Boston Track Club running team. So here in Charlottesville.
And so you said you work with this little clinic. Is it big chiropractors? Whatever, like, is it just smaller or is it bigger chiropractors?
Oh, so it is. Do a lot of chiropractors do what I do, or is it a very busy, like, big clinic with tons of docs and stuff like that?
Is it a big one, like a big clinic?
Oh, no. I really enjoy changing how people view chiropractic care and musculoskeletal care. Typically, somebody might go into a chiropractor or a physical therapist, and their visits are typically kind of shorter. You might have to see them, 10 plus times. With us, we have a very small patient base every day. The first half of the visit, we go through evaluation, we go through treatment, evaluate again to make sure that, treatment was actually helpful. And then we go through a few rehabilitative exercises. With that, it takes an hour to get in with one of our visits. So we don't get to see a lot of people. There's only myself, and then there's my rehab assistant who works with me. So in a full, 10-hour day of 10 hours working in the clinic, we can only see 20 patients. And there's some chiropractors out there that might, see 100 patients in a day. A lot shorter visits with adjustments, and then sometimes they'll do STEM units and stuff like that. We are very, very small as far as a clinic goes, but it allows us to really focus on the patients and addressing their issues. And when we address their issues, they go tell everybody about us, which is nice. So it's bigger than it seems, but it's also pretty low volume, which I actually like, because as you can tell, I don't mind talking. So.
So what are some experience you've had with some of the runners or whatever, like you said, if it's rather doing backflips or walking upstairs, like what are some best experience you've had with those people?
Certainly it is incredibly impactful to treat somebody for something, and because of HIPAA, we can't get very specific at all with any of these cases, but it is incredibly impactful to treat somebody with a chronic issue that they've been dealing with almost all season, and then treat them right before a big meet. And time zone wise, it didn't work out, but getting a text message from somebody, hey, they PR'd by 22 seconds. And that's the text I'm waking up to at 5:30 in the morning. And it's like, yeah, but it actually is, yeah, because they're that excited. I know at some point, if I'm not going to the meet, I'll be able to catch up with them and be that excited and just really, those are some of the fun moments where I was struggling with this, I put in so much time, and then going out, watching them perform and succeed, and just, with a background in sports, I absolutely know what it's like to be a competitor. I understand what it means to succeed, and that just rush of being able to be your best and best other people. You know, winning feels good. So those are definitely some fun experiences. It's incredible to just go out to a practice and watch them run, and then you hear the clock get called. 49, 50, 51. And they're not even struggling. They're just hanging out. They're not actually hanging out, but it's also incredible to see high performance athletes performing extremely well, where they are very, very quick. They are incredibly just the top 0.001% of their sport, and then being able to watch them and they just go, it's Tuesday. And if you told me that, hey, could you ever run a 51-second 400? I go, no, I could not. That's not happening. And I think I'm proud, and that's something with track and field as well. Sometimes I mess up the times of like what's amazing, and it took me a few years to be like, oh, that's a fast time. Because I grew up a thrower, so I was a discus guy back in high school and loved it because it was just weightlifting, eating, and throwing a little disc. That's it. So, and I think that's been a fun part as well, is just being able to work with, because I've also worked with some field athletes and being able to go just, wow. Because I understand that. Like when they're squatting over 650 and I go, I've never even touched 650 on a squat. Like that's incredible. And they're just super happy, super fun guys because they get to eat, they get to lift, they get to throw a ball. It's a good life. So, but yeah, I mean, getting to know them and over time is also rewarding in its own way because they're great people, easy to talk to, and just fun to work.
So, what is one of your favorite places you've been to, like traveling with teams?
If this was non-COVID, it would have been Japan. Absolutely, because I was scheduled to go to the Olympics this year with a few of the runners. But so far, it has been, oddly enough, just Charlottesville. Being able, I love Charlottesville. I love home. We have a great meet. We host the Cavalier Classic every year as far as like an outdoor meet, and it's one of the top races in the country from a collegiate standpoint. And just being able to see that atmosphere of so many elite runners in one place, really being able to compete against each other is always so rewarding. And also, I like home cooking. Yeah, the travel is not my like favorite thing to do, but yeah, I'd always take home cooking. But we'll see a few meets and we'll see a few things travel wise as well. And the traveling volume kind of depends, just because like for a one event meet, if somebody gets on the plane, can walk to the track, not get hurt in warm-ups, we can deal with that later. So sometimes it's just like, oh, would you want to travel more? And I go, I'm good. I don't really need to travel that much. I like home. I like my clinic. So I really enjoy the Charlottesville meet because it is so big and always nice to have that home field advantage, know the facilities, know some of the staff. But definitely, if you ask that question in a year's time, hopefully it will be Japan, because I think that'll just be absolutely incredible to go to Japan, experience another culture, and then also I have never been to an Olympics or treated at an Olympics, which has been always definitely a big goal of mine. So
excuse me. So if you went to Japan, would you only be treating the U.S. runners or everyone?
No, so with that, I would be the athletes that would contract me. I would treat the athletes that contracted me. So mainly in the right now, working with those athletes. It's just that's the people I work with. So it wouldn't be a very big roster of people. It would only be a handful. So it would actually be a really nice experience where it would just be like, hey, everybody's taken care of that needs to be taken care of, and now we can kind of go watch a few events and just kind of see what that would be like.
So what is the most successful runner you've ever worked with?
The most successful runner I have ever worked with.
You might not be able to tell us the name because of
HIPAA and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've worked with some quick runners with the Reebok affiliation. You know, that's definitely a good name. There's definitely some great runners on that team. So that's about like as far as I can go, where it's just that's the folks I've worked with, and they're all very talented, all very gifted in their own way. Success is an interesting question for sure, because it's all individual success versus where they want to be. And I think that's something that's also fun, is because they're all very hungry. All the athletes I work with, nobody's like, hey, I'm happy with where I'm at. They're all actually just like I can get better. I can run a little harder. I can do the little things a little better and pursue more PBs and hit more PBs, and hopefully, break a few country records, hopefully break a few, well, maybe not Olympic records, but definitely country records. And then also always, a lot of them are chasing Olympic qualification. And so, if you are professionally running and somebody pays you to do something you love to do, you won. Like, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So really, like, anybody I'm working with in the professional scene, I'm like, do you know how successful you are? You are being paid to do something you love to do and are one of the best in the world at.
Yeah.
And that's something that is, perspective-wise, isn't lost on them. And I think that's one of my favorite parts, is they're just like, yeah, I'm running. That's what I do. It's awesome. So all super friendly. But yeah, I mean, definitely the most successful, team that I have an official affiliation with is Reebok, and that's a pretty good squad out there. So over here. For a second, I'm like, oh, okay, you're more in the Midwest. So I'm like, yeah, on the East Coast. So, but it's nice. I mean, I went to the Olympic trials in Atlanta. Had a few of my runners run. Got to meet up with some ex D1 runners I used to work with at the events, and it was good to see how everybody's kind of flourishing and succeeding. So
yeah. So thank you very much for doing this with me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely. Super happy to jump on. If there's any more questions about like injury specific stuff, or if there's anything a little bit more injury related that you want to chat about, more than happy to hop on here and kind of have a dialogue.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Are there any other questions you have for me?
How do I run faster?
Ooh. That one is a tricky one, because it all depends on where you're at in training right now. No, I think one of the things that is lost on a lot of runners is there has to be more lifting, but not like big heavy squats. It's actually you have to train certain muscle groups and strength sometimes, and that's how it will help get faster, but yeah, we can definitely have one of those discussions at some point about, a little bit more you specific stuff. If you are curious about that, because I think I'm coming up to Illinois maybe in June or something. So if you ever want to kick some of those questions around. Outside of that, anything else for me?
That's it.
Very cool. All right, Lance. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.